Welcome to the Russian Nationality Room at the University of Pittsburgh. As we look through the room and the other images in this video, I will tell you about the general details of the Russian Room and focus on a couple things in particular. The Russian Room was dedicated in 1938, making it one of the earliest nationality rooms to be installed in the Cathedral of Learning. It is not based on a specific building, but is described as being in a folk style. The furniture in the room features two design strains that inform the entire space: religious imagery and folk imagery. The chair backs are based upon Orthodox Church woodwork that the architect copied, while the crest rails feature folk creatures. These creatures are associated with fairy tales, regions of Russia, and sometimes they are animals identified with ancient times. There is a reindeer to represent Siberia, a swan for the tale of the Swan Maiden, a harpy, and also a lion to represent the animal sacred to the ancient Scythian settlers in this region of the world. The Scythians are an ancient group of people originating from the steppe, from the 7th century before the Common Era to the 3rd century before the Common Era. And they were known in Greek history to Herodotus. The lion among many animal symbols was significant for its power and authority. Examples of this have survived to the present because of gold and other metal work that has since been part of the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg. 21st century finds in kurgans, which are burial mounds in Siberia, continue. Evidence of the fine casting, metal cutting, and hammering of gold exists for the thousands of Scythian items discovered thus far. The concept of this room was to show an old Russia, from Peter the Great's time and before. One that would illustrate the Orthodox religion through the medieval era decorations and the artworks, and an even older time. An icon and a vishivka, which is an embroidered tapestry, depict religious subjects. Both are in kiots, or boxes that contain them. The icon shows the miraculous delivery of Kitej from an invasion. God sunk the city into a lake, and so the invaders passed by. The icon was given by the architect's sister. The vishivka shows St. George subduing a serpent. In many stories, St. George subdues or kills what is commonly referred to as a dragon. The composition is traditional, showing the zones of faith and damnation. The hand of God blesses George, and the crack in the earth from which the serpent emerges is the hole to damnation. The story itself is old and not unique to Russia, so George appears in many countries. Representative of the justice of God, the smiter of evil, a chivalric knight, and a valorous young person, as he is indicated here in the kiot. George is many things. The room and this artwork were designed by Andrei Ivanov. Ivanov was a curator and director of the Carnegie Museum. He was a lepidopterist, which is a butterfly expert. After the Russian Revolution, Ivanov came to the United States, but his butterfly collection remained behind, nationalized by the Soviets. His entomological trips after emigration were partly enabled by his role at the Carnegie, so what you see today among their insect collections calls back in part to the activities of this man. Ivanov's association in Pittsburgh also enabled him to become the designer of the Russian Room, and since he was an excellent artist and scientific illustrator, he also designed and illustrated the first book about the nationality rooms in 1947. In 2011, the Carnegie Museum held a retrospective of his life and the themes of his work. Many small details of this room find parallel in other locations. For example, Ivanov's scientific specialty was butterflies, and the chunks of wood holding the table, floorboards, and wainscoting together are known as butterfly keys. The golden fabric behind St. George has a woven pattern of two peacocks with a tree of life between them. This same detail decorates the crest rail of the professor's chair. Sunflowers carved into the wood mirror the huge sunflower on the ceiling. The 4 ceiling corner bas-reliefs are plaster enlargements of cake molds, and they represent the seasons. Summer is a sunflower, autumn is a bunch of grapes at harvest time, winter is a pine cone, and spring is a flower bud. There are several layers to this room, much like a Russian honey cake or a nesting doll. One interesting layer is the addition in the 21st century of craftwork and a cabinet. In 2009, the Russian Federation president visited Pittsburgh during the G20 conference. He visited the Russian room, which was the first time that a sitting head of state visited a nationality room representing his or her nationality. The Russian president then gave Chancellor Nordenberg several gifts, and the chancellor placed them in a removable cabinet made to look like Avanoff's original woodwork. The objects include a matryoshka, a nesting doll. When you visit the nationality rooms, be sure to enter the Russian room. Though it is small, it has subtle levels of meaning and history throughout, and rewards the careful observer.